"You're killing your mother," my father said. It was an us and them world. There was no way this Jewish girl could ever become one of them. My prayer was, if you're real, Jesus, show me. I was born in 1953, and a mere 8 years after the liberation of Auschwitz. I mean, the Holocaust was in everybody's mind. There were television programs about it. My mother, who had lost relatives overseas, would constantly remind me with, never forget what they did to us. Some of my earliest and fondest memories center around the Orthodox synagogue. I went to kids' classes where I learned the Hebrew prayers. Hebrew names fascinated me. Everyone in my world had one. Once I asked a Gentile friend his Hebrew name, and he gave me that deer in the headlights look. Apparently he didn't have one. My neighborhood seemed equally divided between Catholic and Jewish families. Us and them. One of the milestones in a Jewish boy's life is a bar mitzvah. My brother turned 13 the year I turned 7. For months, I watched him practice the Hebrew liturgy, and I was jealous. But it's more than that. It was a longing in my heart to learn Hebrew, the ancient language of my people, a longing that has never left me. When my aunt passed away, the family really did lose the connection with Judaism. My Jewish education ended. You know, I was learning the prayers and learning the feasts and the traditions. And after Aunt Edith passed, you know, it was like my mother couldn't care less anymore. My father never was observant. And I was only 8 years old, and I just always felt like I was adrift. I'm in a desert. I'm lonely. There's nothing anymore. What happened to God? So between 1970 and 71, my senior year in high school, Judy Collins' rendition of Amazing Grace hit the top of the pop charts. The Jesus revolution was upon us. Some of my friends had given up getting high on grass to getting high on Jesus? My mother had warned me. They were the people I stayed away from. The lowest life form was a Jew who came to believe in Jesus, the persecutor of our people. After all, the Cossacks in Eastern Europe were Christians. Hitler was a Christian. Yet the changes in my Jesus freak friends were undeniable. My curiosity piqued. It was surreal. I mean, these people, these kids that I had shared joints with and gotten high were carrying Bibles to school, and you had these silly grins on their faces, and you know, that's all they could talk about was this Jesus. And I had friends that, you know, you couldn't go down the hallway without them witnessing to you. And it's like, you know, I'm Jewish, I don't want to hear it. But at the same time, it's like, what's up with this? I went to church with a friend in October, a Baptist church, and I will never forget the Sunday school class. One of the boys in class started making jokes, and one of the girls burst into tears. When the teacher asked what the matter was, she replied, "He's making fun of my Lord." That struck me hard. Jesus was that important to her? Why? After the sermon that morning, the pastor gave an altar call, and I wanted to go forward, but I couldn't because Jesus was the Gentile God, us and them. In private, I began to pray, and I found the only form of Bible in our house, which was the 5 books of Moses, the Torah. I can't say I had any great revelations. What did animal sacrifices have to do with me? My friend Leslie, queen of the Jesus freaks, invited me to a meeting called Truth for Youth. I accepted the invitation, not because I was seeking the truth, but because I sought to get out of helping Mom clean the house, her Friday night ritual before Saturday mahjong game. I chose to wear a shirt to the meeting that I had silk screened with the, quote, "Contrary to popular belief, God's last name is not Dam," thinking I was oh so clever and funny. I was soon to learn that God's sense of humor was much sharper than mine. I found myself in a room full of singing teens with shining smiles. The love was overpowering. I wanted what they had. After the meeting, I told Leslie I'd like to come back. She grinned and said, "Would you like to come upstairs and pray with us?" Sure, why not? Amid those youngsters praying for me, I had my eyes shut and saw these blinding flashes of light. I couldn't stop trembling. And in that moment, I knew something real had happened. And I opened my mouth to say something, and the only thing that came out was, "Praise the Lord Jesus." And I felt like I could fly. I mean, a bunch of us went outside dancing in the rain, saying, "He's real, he's real." The question in my mind was, had I become one of them? And I really thought I had. In fact, my father called me his Yiddish shiksa. It was a lonely time, really. I felt like I had lost my original identity and I didn't relate to the new one. My mother saw my faith as the ultimate betrayal. "The drugs I could understand," she said. "This I don't understand. How could you become one of them?" Around the turn of the 21st century, I met a Messianic Jewish woman my age who was preparing for, of all things, her bat mitzvah. If she could do it, so could I. I approached Shmuel, the Messianic rabbi, who agreed to help me prepare in an elaborate celebration, replete with dance and pageantry. And I felt welcomed back. I got my Jewish upbringing here in the Messianic congregation, because there's this huge gap between 8 years old when my aunt passed away to, bringing my children up in a church and then coming back into the Messianic movement. It was like, I can still be Jewish. I'm still Jewish. But did I cross the dividing line to become one of them? No. I'm more Jewish now through my Jewish Messiah than ever. Through Yeshua, Adonai has joined us and them, Jew and Gentile, one in Messiah. I am Rochelle Fields. My Hebrew name is Rochelle or Rachel. I am a wife, a mother, an author, and an artist, and a Messianic Jew.